After creating thousands of different grades amongst a large variety of productions, I've discovered the process to creating consistent, beautiful images that are gonna have clients constantly coming back. And I'm gonna give you a free power grade and LUT in the description. But I not only wanna give you the fish, I want to teach you how to fish. Metaphor. Here's how we're gonna do it. We have 5 levels, each level containing multiple different nodes that are key aspects to the cinematic look. We're gonna go search for our color space transform. From there, we're gonna drag it in and we're gonna be inputting our camera settings. For me, I was using a red Komodo here, so I'm gonna search for red wide gamut for the input color space. Input gamma is red log 3G10. So our output color space, I want to find DaVinci wide gamut. Output gamma is DaVinci intermediate. Now, the reason we're going to do that is because DaVinci wide gamut and DaVinci intermediate, they are native for DaVinci Resolve, and it's going to give you the widest spread of exposure and color when it comes to grading. Up next, we're going to add another node, and this is going to be CST out. We're going to find color space transform, and we are going to input the same color space and gamma that we just outputted on the first node. So DaVinci wide gamut and then DaVinci intermediate. And then we're going to go to output gamma and find gamma 2.4. We are now back close to what the original image looked like, maybe a little bit brighter, but we are back to the original image. Now, why are we going to bring our image back when we took it away using log? What's the point of that? We're not using log so that we can change our image from the grayscale to something completely different. We're using log because it gives you the ability to get the widest dynamic range and the best color bit depth possible that the camera can handle. We're bringing it back to normal because we want our images to look realistic. Up next, we are going to add our noise reduction node. Drag that in. The frames on either side, we're going to keep it at 3. The type, we're going to go to better, and then the range, we're going to go to medium. Now, depending on your image, I either want to do, for me, I either do 7 or 13. 13 for the luma threshold and chroma threshold is if the image is more noisy. 7 is if it's not super noisy, but you still want to have a little bit of cleanup. And ideally, that's where you want to be. If we did pre-production correctly, you shouldn't have to clean this up a ton unless you were just in a horrible situation. So color correction is bringing it back to normal, setting it up, and then color grading is moving into your specified style. Now, have you ever watched a Mr. Beast video? No, because I watch good stuff. Hey, why are you lying to these people? Lying? How am I lying? Well, 1, you're in a studio. You're not outside. Well, that was the whole point. And 2, you're saying that coloring in each and every clip is important. Well, color grading is important, okay? Oh, okay. No, for real. Think of your favorite movie. Citizen Kane. No, it's not. Yes. Okay, well, even if your film is black and white, the colors are picked up in the camera in a way where our subconscious still knows what those colors are. And it's still going to enhance the story in a way that makes it very important. Now we've made it to level 2. So the image is corrected, you have your foundation. Now we get to bring some contrast into it. So the next node we are going to add is going to be our primaries. I'm gonna drag this down here. Now from here, we're gonna go find our primary wheels. Not log, click over here, make sure they're the primaries. And basically what this node is going to do is we are going to set the boundaries for our lower levels and our upper levels in terms of exposure. Now, if we start to bring this lower than what this graph can handle, you look back at our image, now we're getting clipped blacks up here. And then same with the exposure. If we bring this higher than the graph can handle, now we're getting all these blown out areas. So what we want to do is we want to, for me, I'm creating my boundaries. So the lowest I want to go and then the highest I want to go. Lowest I want to go, I actually want to get as close to the bottom as I can without touching it. Now for the highs, I don't want to bring it all the way to the top because I don't want it super overexposed. So I'm going to bring it up closer to the 896 area. Maybe I'll bring it a little bit closer. Probably about right there. So that'll be my upper level with the majority of my levels stopping at the 640 area. And then I'm gonna leave the gamma where it is, but if I wanted to, I could kind of set my midtones up for success by going ahead and finding exactly where I want them to start from. We're not going to be really adjusting the contrast of everything until the next node, but luckily, because I shot properly, everything is about exactly where I want it. I just wanted to change the gain a little bit. So next, we're gonna go into our HDR wheels. Now we have our black, dark, shadow, light, highlight, and then specular. And then our global is everything. So the black isn't really going to affect much. So I'm going to start with my dark. I'm going to bring the dark up a little bit. You can see, if you look at the hair and the phone, you can see exactly what it's affecting. I'm going to bring it barely up to about 0.07. Now again, this doesn't make a big difference, but when we're color grading and color correcting, we are not trying to use one node to completely change the image. We're using multiple nodes of small adjustments to make a big change. So next I'm going to go to the shadow, which is most of my image, and I'll probably bring it up just a little bit more, probably 0.07. And then my light, I'll bring it up a little bit more as well. Yeah, now I just have a slightly brighter image with everything, just bringing it up a little bit. From there, this is where we get to really have fun with manipulating our image, and that is the curves. Now, if you'd like to go further than just that free power grade and LUT in the description, make sure to check out the entire pack of power grades and LUTs on the archives. That's in the description as well. Power grades are for if you're using DaVinci, but if you're in softwares like Premiere or Capcut, you can use the LUT. With that being said, let's continue the construction of this look. So we have our exposure curves right here is where we're gonna start. Usually I start with a base S curve. So over here is my shadows. Over here on the right side are my highlights, and then everything else in the middle. So if I were to bring this all the way down, I'm bringing my shadows super far down, and my highlights, I'm bringing them up. Ultimate contrast, but we don't want that. So I'm going to bring the shadows down probably barely any, not too much. I'll bring the highlights. Honestly, I'm barely moving it. There's a small S curve there, but I'm barely moving it. I'm gonna keep this. And now we're getting into subjective territory. This is no longer an objective. None of this was objective. I'd say color correction is the closest point to being objective. When it comes to color grading, it's subjective, depending on your story, depending on the look you want, depending on how you want your viewer to digest your video. So from now on, I'm just doing what I think looks good and what I think fits the story. So I'm going to make points in between each of these points I already made, and I'm just going to further fine-tune the contrast. So this, I'm bringing contrast back into the shadows. So if you really look at that hair, you can see bringing some contrast into it, like that about right there. Highlights. There's not much highlights going on, but if you look at the window, you can see what this is adjusting. Probably bring it up just to soften that window a little bit. I'm going to go to my upper midtones. You can see that's the highlighted areas on him, as well as the wall back there. If I go down, blowing it out. If I go up, we're really fading it. This is because it's affecting all this as well. If you see when I move this point, you can see the rest of the lines moving around. So I'm gonna probably keep this further down a little bit. And then my lower mid, which is basically most of the image, I'm gonna fine tune where I want that. I wanna keep it natural, probably about right there. So let me see what I just did. Yeah, just brought a little more contrast into the image. Now we're gonna go to hue versus hue. From here, I wanna protect our skin tones. The reason I wanna protect our skin tones is because leaves, trees, the sky, most things change colors depending on how light is hitting it. The only thing that we can guarantee doesn't change is our range of skin tones. We all have a shade of that blood color. So what I want to do is I can take my qualifier tool and I can select the skin tones, and you'll see it automatically creates an area for it. So everything I adjust over here, nothing's going to touch the skin tones. What I want to do is I usually bring my yellows up a little bit to bring them a little more, I wouldn't say orange, but maybe like a Sunny D color. And I'm going to bring Sunny D is orange for sure. Okay. The blues, I'm going to bring them up a little bit to give them more of a teal look. How original am I? And now I'm going to hue versus saturation. This is basically going to choose how saturated each color is. So because this is more of a humorous video, this shot is from a humorous video, I want to keep it warm and happy. So I'm going to bring the oranges up just a little bit, not a ton, right there. Bring life back into the skin there, and I'll bring the blues, depending on where the blues are. I'm going to bring the blues up just because I want to see a little more saturation. Now I'm going to do hue versus luminance. This is going to be the same thing, but instead of affecting saturation, now we are affecting the highlight or the exposure of each color. So if I were to select the skin tones and then drag this up, you can see we're affecting the skin tones. I'm going to bring the oranges up just a little bit, and I'm going to bring the blues down. I like, if I bring one side up, I'm going to bring another side down. From there, we're going to go to luminance versus saturation. This one's important. Not a lot of people use this. This is going to affect the saturation based on where it lies on the exposure range. So rather than over here where we affected the exposure based on where it sits on the color wheel, now we are affecting the saturation of things and the color of things based on where it sits on the exposure spectrum, like this waveform over here. So what I usually do is I want to bring the blacks, everything that's clipping black if there is anything, and everything that's overexposed, and I want to bring those down a little bit so I'm not getting artifacts and anything too bright or too dark. And then I'm going to bring the low mid gray back up. If I bring it back to here, it's where we had it originally. But if you look at it and you're like, you know what, I want a little more push out of it, you can bring it up a little bit. So we can see now with the curves in total, it's not a ton, but you can also, I mean, for me at least, I feel like there's some change going on here. This is definitely bringing it to life. Now we're moving into level 3. This level is where you get to have your style shine. This level, I didn't learn this. I literally just started throwing things onto the image and testing things out. And I found my style. And that's how you find your style. You listen to me, you listen to other people, and then you just go in and you play around, throw some effects in your nodes, play with some colors. That's how you learn how to create an image that you like. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to noise. I'll go ahead and click on noise, and then I'm going to add a node in front of that. This node is going to be our contrast pop. So I'm going to go find contrast pop. Now, this is one of my new finds that I'm super happy with. If any of you have ever edited in Photoshop or Lightroom, this is basically clarity. See what it's doing here? So obviously, both sides look disgusting. But what you do is you slightly manipulate. So if I were to zoom in to his hair right here, and I were to bring it up, you can see how it's bringing more contrast and more crunchiness into the hair. And then if I come this way, it's softening the image. So we could even go to the window. More clarity, more sharpness, and then more softness. So a lot of people use this just to bring up the contrast, which is very valid. It'll bring up contrast, but not a lot of people soften the image with it, which I feel like is a look that a lot of people are after right now. But funny enough, for this one, I'm going to bring it up. I'm going to bring this up to about 0.023, yeah, that looks good. The detail size, I'm going to bring this to about 0.178. This is basically determining the size of the details. The low threshold, this is basically how low an exposure can this contrast pop affect the shadows. So I'm going to bring this to about 0.07. I like it low, but not affecting the clipping portions if there are any. So then the high threshold, same thing, but for highlights, I'm going to bring it to about 0.86. And then the softness, I will probably bring it to about 0.345 because I don't want it softening the image too much. So now what we can do is if we zoom in, we can see just barely. See how it's just barely bringing some of that stuff back? God, that looks so good. From there, we're going to click on curves. We're going to add a node, and this one is going to be halation. Now, everybody knows exactly what this is. So I probably don't have to spend much time on this because everyone knows what this is going to do. It's going to make the highlights glow a little bit. So what I'll do is I'll view isolated regions. I'm going to pick what I want to be affected. I don't want this entire image, and I don't want just the sliver of the glasses. I could, but for this image, I want to grab just a little bit of the window as well. There. Again, we're only affecting these two areas. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go to dye layer reflections. I have a system now. I usually just line these up as close as I can. So I'll probably bring this to about I'll bring it up a little bit, 1.155. Saturation, I'll keep it the same. Spread, I'll probably keep it the same. Secondary glow, this is where I like to have fun because this is where you really get to see there it is. It's where you really get the glow of everything coming in. So the strength, I'm going to bring it to about 0.388. Yeah, let me bring these down real quick. Gamma, I'm going to bring this to about 1.85. Spread, about right there. Yeah, so if you look at those glasses, you can really see. And right over the shoulder, that window's giving a little bit of glow. I like that. All right, so now we're going to add the next node directly after halation. And this is going to be our glow node. Now, I'd say glow has become more popular. If you don't know about it, I'm glad you're hearing about it now because it really, it has the opportunity to really improve your image. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the shine threshold all the way down. And then I'm going to go to advanced controls, composite type, and I want to bring this to soft light. There we go. Okay, now I'm going to go to the color filter. And I want to change the color filter to a little more orange. Again, look, this is going to adjust the entire image. See how I'm just changing the color of the entire image, basically? I want to bring it a little more orange. And you could bring it more than you plan on keeping it, just so you could really see, there you go, the orange-yellow peeking through. Good. All right, I'm not going to keep it like that. I'm going to go to Global Blend, and now we can adjust it based on our original image. So I'm going to drag it up very, very subtly, probably 0.78, 0.078. See how small? It is so small, but it's bringing the image a little more warm. And that brings us to level 4. Level 4, one of my favorite levels. This is how your viewers are going to digest your video. Is it authentic? Is it vintage? Is it clean and clinical? How are they going to digest it? Level 4, we're going to add our next node, and this is going to be the look. This is where we get to tell our story. This is the first step of creating the image that the viewer is going to be digesting. How are they going to digest it? So we're going to go to log wheels. So you click your primaries over here and then go to log. This is going to affect the color of the shadows. This is going to affect the color of the midtones. And this is going to affect the color of the highlights. And this would affect the entire image. Cool? Cool. So what I want to do is I want to go to my shadows. I'm going to create contrast through this. I very rarely use the midtone or highlights. I use shadow and then offset. I'm going to bring the red down a little bit. This is going to introduce more of a teal look to the shadows. And I don't want straight teal. I want to bring a little bit of blue. I'm going to bring the blue up to 0.03. Boom. All right, now I'm going to go to offset, and I'm probably going to make this image a little more warm again. So I want to go to the red right here. I'll probably bring it up a little bit to about 25.16, very small. And then I want to create more of a yellow. So I'm going to go to the blues, and I'm going to bring this back to very small, 24.68. Little bits of contrast for bringing in. I may even change that blue. I may go to like -0.01 or something like that to bring the teal a little bit further away. Up next, we are going to create our grain node. This one's easy. Built in to DaVinci, no plugins, film grain. Go to film grain presets, 35mm 400T. This is what I have found to be closest to that sweet spot of film, like late 90s, early 2000s. I'm going to bring the opacity, where do I want it? Probably to about, I'll go 0.713. So now, when I zoom in, you can see we have now created that film look. It's just enough to give it not a super digital look. Now again, if you wanted to have more of a digital look, but still have a little bit of grain as a subtle factor, you could bring this down. You don't have to have it super visible. You could bring it down. You could bring it to about 0.194. It's there. It's just subconsciously introduced. Up next, we're going to create our damage node. All right. The whole reason I use this is because, just like the whole reason I use grain, people think maybe there's some deep age-old psychology for using grain. No, when we watch movies, we see grain. So the grain is going to determine how we digest it based on recent years. Damage is the same thing. All damage does is make you feel like you're in a movie theater, or the way I use it makes it feel like you're in a movie theater. So you're going to basically go to all these parameters and go to 0. The temperature, blur, tint, the focal factor. We're not going to add any vignette with this. Then scroll down to add scratch, get rid of that. We're just going to play with the dirt. All right, we're going to bring the dirt density to 1. Dirt size, just so you can see. Let me show you what we're messing with. Dirt size, bring it all the way down. Dirt blur, not all the way down, maybe 0.07. Dirt seed, doesn't really matter. Dirt density, bring it to 1. Now, you probably won't even see it in this, but there are going to be small pops of black. Oh, there was one. I saw it. Look, wait. Oh. Can I go back a frame? Ha ha ha. See it. See it. See it. Little. What I'm going to do is I'm actually, just because this is my creative look, I'm going to make it white. It almost is like thicker grain. All right, lastly, these are my 2 favorites. We get to check. All right, the last 2 nodes we're actually going to put outside the CST out. First one, we're going to call it check. All right, and we're going to go type into the effects false color. Now, this is because we can't always trust our brains. We've been looking at this for so long, we don't know what reality looks like. All right, all this stuff, I usually just keep the same. It's not going to make a big difference, and I'm using this just to check. This magenta down here means you're getting close to clipping. This blue is like dark shadow. The low grays is visible. Your green to pink is like where you want your subject to be in most cases. So as long as your subject, the key portions of your subject are in between like the green to pink, then you're doing good. Your pink is like high level skin tones. Then you start to get into this high gray, which is highlighted areas. Your yellow is we're getting close to clipping, and then red is we're clipping. So I like this image because my subject is, this is my key light over here. So it's going from green to pink, and then we got a little bit of highlights coming from the window, which makes sense. Same with this area here. His shadows are still visible. They're below green, they're still visible. And then the hair, which is dark, the deep shadows over here, we're just now peeking into the magenta areas. So I'd say this area, or this visual, is more high key. It's more exposed properly with little portions of dark for contrast. So we can turn that off. Now we're going to go to our next node, our last node, and we are going to title this palette. This is for somebody who, I rarely turn this on, but for somebody who wants to either upload this to social media, or they just want to be able to view it so that they can get their colors visibly in front of them. If there's a brand, like if you're making a video for a brand and they need their colors to be specific, throw on this color palette and you can see all the colors you're getting. So this is more of a neutral clip with little pops of blue over here that we are seeing right here. And then obviously if you want things to change, go to your curves, go to your saturation. If I want to see more blue, I'll bring the blue up, and I got more blues coming in, and you can see exactly how it's being affected. If you want to see more content just like this, make sure to subscribe, like the video if you liked it, and if you want to see a video that is breaking down more of the psychological factors in color grading, make sure to click this video. Love y'all, really do. Remember, it only takes one to start color grading intentionally. It only takes one to start making content. It only takes one to make a change, and it only takes one to change the world, and that could be you. See you next time.